My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. Welcome to me with my little content microphone. We got it, boys. I'm gonna apologize now. I don't know how to control my volume when I'm talking on these. So sometimes the volume is just very quiet and I'm really far away from it, or I forget that I'm using it and I'm like wafting it around because I speak with my hands. And sometimes I'm just like, and it's just atrocious on the ears. So I do apologize for that. But anyways, hello, welcome to another weekend vlog, my friends. It's the start of the weekend. It's Friday. It's 7:45 at night. I just ate leftover Thai food because your girl got a raise yesterday and I had to celebrate somehow. We're here. We're at another weekend. And this weekend is going to be very, very chill. The only thing I have planned is tomorrow I'm going to the Symphony Orchestra once again to watch Indiana Jones in concert. I am so excited. It's going to be a really good one. I just know. And I have so much fun whenever I'm at the WSO. It's such a fun time. It's a good show, and I'm excited to get out of here. Out of here. I'm excited to get out and do something. What else can I talk to you guys about? Let me put you here momentarily. Oh, I can talk to you guys. I can talk to you guys about this little guy behind me. Ooh. So this week I had a really bad day. The bad day was because of blood work being done. I had blood work done and I threw up. I don't know if I've said this, but I have like bad hospital anxiety and bad like medical anxiety. I have a phobia of needles, always have. When I was a kid, like I used to fully break down, have just like full panic attacks. I didn't know what they were at the time. As I've gotten older, I have tried to get myself out of that, and of course with COVID and stuff, I had to make myself okay with getting needles. But getting my blood work done? No, thank you. No, thank you. So I knew I was extremely nervous because obviously like the anxiety the night before was so high, and I kept trying to do little things to like calm myself down. I was okay leading up to it. I was okay going in. I was okay sitting down. Like I was like high anxiety, didn't want to be there, but I wasn't like panicking. I wasn't, sweating, heart racing, that kind of a thing. I was just kind of like, okay, I really just don't want to be here. I'm just going to get it over with kind of vibes. Sat down, most painless experience I've ever experienced. Like quick, fast. The man was a fucking wizard. He was so kind. And I was just like, I was sitting there. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so nervous. And I closed my eyes. I didn't even see what was going on. I barely felt anything. And then my body was like, guess what you're about to do? And it was after it was done, he was like, okay, like put some pressure on it. And he's like, okay, like how are you feeling? And all this kind of stuff. And then my body went like really lightheaded, really dizzy. And I'm like, not great, real dizzy. And he goes, okay, like just, it's all good. Let me just tape this and we'll put your head between your knees and all this kind of stuff. Like obviously they took multiple vials for the blood work. I don't know how many because I wasn't watching, but my body was just like, nah, bitch. You see that guy, that garbage can in the corner? You're gonna need that in like 2 seconds. So I just felt so bad. I was like, I'm so sorry. It's so lame. Like, because I don't know if it was anxiety induced. The anxiety didn't help, but the anxiety didn't make me feel nauseous beforehand, which it usually does. Like that anticipatory anxiety makes me feel really bad. Anyways, long story short, had blood work done on Wednesday and I did it all on my own, like a big girl. Which was huge for me because usually I need my parents there. And then we went out for dinner later that night. I was feeling so shitty. I was really in my head that day, and February just fucking sucks. I don't know if anyone else is like this year, but this year February is it's so bad. I don't know what it is. Feeling very stuck, feeling very stagnant, feeling very frozen in a lot of different things. I think it's called a functional freeze or something like that. I just felt so exhausted on Wednesday. We went for dinner to like celebrate Valentine's Day after Valentine's Day because they were at the cabin, and we showed up, and right across from the restaurant was a Dynacare, which is one of the places that you go to go get blood work in my city and like other kind of like medical tests done. And my parents were like, oh, when was your blood work? And I was like, it was today. And they were like, oh my God, you went on your own? And I'm like, yeah, I told you guys twice and you forgot. So I didn't want to bother you again. And they were like, oh my God. So very fun. After dinner, which was very delicious, I ended up going to pick up my pre-order that was in for Heather Fawcett's new book, Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter. So excited to have this. This is such a cutie little book. And I honestly love the No Dust Jacket books. They're just so fun. Went to go pick up this, and then as I was walking around the store, I was like, I really need just a little treat. I was this close to breaking my book buying ban because there was a beautiful signed edition of Samantha Sotomayor's new book, and it was so pretty. The stenciled edges were so cool, and like the end papers were gorgeous. All this kind of stuff. I was so close to breaking my book buying ban again because I was having a moment. And then I was like, I should go check out the Jellycats on the second floor because that's where they keep the kids' stuff. And then I saw this beautiful baby. I ignored the price tag because sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And I held him tight to my chest and I immediately felt better. So everybody meet Daffodil Bartholomew. He's the cutest motherfucker I have ever seen. I love him so much. His little costume is like also squishy, like on top of him. It's like pillowy and like so soft. Fuck. Capitalism. Consumerism. It got me again. It got me again, lads. So yeah, I treated myself to this and then I got myself a little cheeky little ice cream afterwards from Wendy's because they have a new cherry crumble frosty. It's so fucking good. And so I was like, I'm going to get one of those. And came home and I felt marginally better. Just kind of an atrocious feeling day. So I got myself a treat, and that is this beautiful, way too expensive Jellycat. He joins my collection of other Jellycats and my other Barts. My other Bartholomews. I have PJ Bartholomew. Isn't he sweet? My friend got him for me for Christmas a couple years ago, or my birthday. One of the two, a couple years ago. And then I have regular baby Bartholomew. Is this medium Bartholomew or small Bartholomew? I don't know. And this is a little shirt that I crocheted for him. It's like he looked naked next to PJ Bartholomew. Now I just have 3 sons and I love them dearly. I love Jellycats too much. Anyways, my friends, I also have writing news, creativity news. But as per books, I don't know what I'm going to read this weekend. I truly do not know. After having such a banger with the Poet Empress last weekend, I really just like, I don't know what to read next. I have so many things I could be reading. I have library books that I could be reading. Who's to say, man? I have so many different things. So we're going to go based on vibes this weekend. I also started The Arc of Aicha by Soraya. I looked up how to say her last name. Bouzaoui? I don't remember. I'm going to have to go look it up again. But I started that. I'm 30% of the way through that arc, so I should probably keep reading that as well before I forget what's going on, which happens a lot in arcs. So, anyways, I don't know what I'm going to be reading this weekend. We'll find out as we go, and I will update you. But last night, I ended up picking up Ye Olde Notebook of Wonders. The Ye Olde Notebook of Wonders is this notebook that I have. Project Glass, Project Mummy, all sorts of projects in here. I started brainstorming Cosmic Latte, which was so fun. My brain completely opened up and exploded with this bad boy. Oh my God, so excited about it. I have a prelim plot. I have my characters. I have ideas and world building concepts. And I had such a great time last night digging this out of my brain. I'm so excited. So what we have so far is that we have our 2 characters, Mal and Kaya, who have been friends for a very long time, to school together, all sorts of stuff. They have a standing date at this little cafe and kind of a very far away planet, part of the outer planets of this universe called Away. Every year they meet up, standing date. They go to this cafe. They have some coffee, have some snacks, and they chat and they catch up, all this kind of stuff. This year, when they are there, they, chat with the owner and the owner's partner, and the 2 of them now have a daughter, and she's like a little 4-year-old. She's so cutie, and they've become friends with this cafe owner and stuff like that. But this year they're sitting there and both of them get pinged for a job. The more they're looking at this job, one, they realize neither of them have really been pinged for the same job before because they have 2 different employers. They're both bounty hunters, and they're looking at this job, they're looking at the information for it, and the more they're digging, the more they're looking through the profile and stuff like that, they are like pretty sure this is the cafe owner or friend. And then the cafe owner is like, haha, yeah, actually that is me, but guess what, I never did what they're accusing me of, so to clear my name we must go venturing on a quest to clear my name, please and thank you. So these bounty hunters get kind of caught up to save their friend, to find this thing that the cafe owner had originally allegedly stolen, this crazy piece of tech. They go on a little quest across the universe together, found family, all that kind of stuff. There's a robot that has a little terrarium for a head that has yet to be named. Terry the terrarium robot. There we go. We just named him. There's a cat named Bandit. They have a cat, and she is the best space baby of all time. She will be completely unharmed. I promise. I promise. I promise. I've been having so much fun with this and like just letting my brain think about it. It's very Lisa Frank vibes, very colorful. I made a mood board. I'll put it here just to capture the essence of the vibe of this book. Kind of bright, full of octane, full of craziness, whatever else, right? So very excited about that. Is this Sage's story? No. I need to fall back into that story and like stop being so scared. But it's fine because at least I did some creative work. I'm very happy with that. So yeah, yay for creative work. Don't know if I'm going to be working on this or Sage's story this weekend. We shall see what my brain wants to do. Who's to say? Very excited. Prelim brainstorming notes are always so exciting and so fun, especially when you just start asking yourself questions and things just like open up and they're super fun. Anyways, my friends, welcome to the weekend vlog. It's gonna be a very chill one and I'm excited. I truly am so excited to just do very little and go see Indiana Jones tomorrow. Can't remember which Indy it is. I feel like it's the first one, which is awesome. We love that. We'll see what I end up reading this weekend. I've got many different options, lots on the docket, and yeah, got my little content microphone, which has been so fun. Which has been so fun. And it really is just a pleasure to see how many things I can clip it to. Welcome to the vlog, my friends. I will catch up with you when I have something else to update you on. It's gonna be a good one. Happy Sunday! I'm here, sitting on the couch. It is almost 4 p.m. It's bright and sunny outside. It's cold outside too, I think. Yeah, it's -16. Love that. Celsius. I don't know what that is in freedom units. But I wanted to pop in and update y'all because yesterday I did not read a fucking thing. Friday, I did not read a fucking thing. I genuinely like woke up this morning and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna read anything this weekend. But I can't let that happen. Because this is a reading vlog. I must read something. So I started Nightshade and Oak by Molly O'Neill, which is, I'm 68 pages in so far. I'm really liking it. I just updated my, I'm doing another TBR side quest vlog. And the TBR side quest is, this time is all like new releases because I'm excited about all the new releases that I've been acquiring. And so I started this one today, and this is part of that, new releases. But I want to say this is definitely immediately different from Green Teeth. So if you tried Green Teeth and didn't like it, but you're sort of interested in this but a little wary because you didn't like Green Teeth, first of all, you're incorrect. Green Teeth is fucking great. Second of all, try Nightshade and Oak because it is completely different from Green Teeth in the voiciness aspect of things. So Green Teeth is so voicey. It is my perfect book. Green Teeth is my perfect fucking book. So going into Nightshade and Oak, I know that it's not going to match Green Teeth because literally nothing could at this point. I know that my expectations for, I like to temper my expectations for books, especially when I'm reading a second book from an author that I've only ever read one book from and loved, or like it's a favorite author, it's a favorite book, and or a favorite author, and I'm going into it. I know to temper my expectations just a touch because you can't love every single book that someone releases. It is just not possible. That would be fucking great if you could, but there are a lot of, you know, the percentages of possibility of you loving everything that they've released is kind of probably not going to happen. Like Hannah Long, one of my favorite authors of all time, one of my favorite fantasy authors, has written some of my favorite fantasy books. I don't love all of her books. I'm still enjoying my time with Nightshade and Oak, is what I'm trying to say. I'm having a good time. Less voicey, for sure. I'm also a little, I'm out of the loop with what this one is like referring to in a lot of instances. I can tell that is referring to a real life historical thing, maybe even like a mythical thing. I don't know. But like, I know because we have Romans and we have war, and we're talking about a queen named Boudica. So I'm like, okay, I'm aware that this is something that is referencing something. Kind of like Green Teeth was like referencing Welsh mythology and Camelot and King Arthur and all that kind of stuff. You know, the Lady of the Lake and what have you. I know that because I love Arthurian mythology. But this one is referencing something that I'm not entirely sure of, like what it is referencing, you know what I mean? So I am a little out. I'm out of the loop, but I'm having a good time either way. We are following the Nightshade, who is the goddess of death. Her name is Malt. Do I know how to pronounce that, even though I've been listening to the audiobook for a while? No. Milk? I want to say. I don't know. It goes, it's not melt, which you would expect with a T at the end. It's something else. It's pronounced a different way. But she is the goddess of death. She like runs around with her dogs and she like frees the souls of the dying and sends them on their way. She guides them into the afterlife and she frees the wayward souls to like protect them and humanity and whatever. That's her job. At the beginning of this book, she gets entrapped by a spell accidentally and turned into a mortal. And she ends up having to band together with this mortal princess named Bellis, who's the child of Boudica. The two of them are trying to go to the edge, like the physical entrance of the afterworld to, one, get Malk's power back, and also to get Bellis's sister's soul back, who like her body is still alive but her soul was released in this moment of magic, like it's this whole thing. So they're on a little questy investigation-y thing. I love a quest to the underworld. I'm having a great time. The writing itself is so different from Green Teeth though. Like I cannot tell you how different the voice is of this novel. It's a lot less quirky voicey. Like, our main character is still not human, necessarily, even though she's been trapped in a human body. She is a goddess, and she, you know, doesn't really understand the ways of mortals and stuff like that. So it's interesting to be in her head. And Green Teeth, of course, our main character, Jenny Greenteeth, is a monster. Like, she's a lake-dwelling creature. So I find it so fascinating that our main characters of Molly O'Neill's books are people or figures of, like, myth and aren't necessarily real. I love it. I'm having a great time. So far, the Sunday reading is great. But yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. I would like to have this wrapped today. I don't think that would be hard to do. I won't have it wrapped immediately though, because in about 40 minutes, I'm going to be leaving to my parents' house for dinner, of course, because it's Sunday. So love that. Yesterday was so fun. I didn't do much all day, but then I sat and did some knitting. I haven't updated you on knitting in a long time, but I ended up, I don't know if I ever said this, but I've been working on a Sophie hood for a long time. This was the original Sophie hood, this long piece of fabric here that I was working on, and I reached a certain part of it. I reached a certain point in that project where I was like, okay, I wish I had done this differently. I wish I had done increases on every 8 rows instead of every 10. I wish I had done a medium size, and so that I could then add depth into the hood like I wanted to, because the depth of the hood for every size of the Sophie hood is the same of the original pattern. So I was like, okay, well, I want to do the medium length so that we increase faster and then get that depth of the hood a little bit more before we go onwards. And so I restarted with this one, and I now have just been using the yarn from the previous Sophie hood, slowly unraveling that. These two are now attached, and as I've been knitting it, but last night I finally reached a place where I like the depth of it, so we are going to go forth in this pattern and finally start the hood portion of it. I'm excited. Finally, we're here. So this is what I did yesterday. I was knitting the whole time, basically. And then I went to the Indiana Jones in concert, which was so fun. And I had a really, really shitty seat. I mean, it was great because there was no one sitting right next to me. So I had room. And also I was right in front of the stage. So I literally the stage was in front of me. So I had a little bit more leg room, and I'm really fucking tall. So leg room is a godsend. And so I was having a great time. I got to sit sideways basically to angle myself at the screen, but I had my head craned the whole time because I was sitting in front of the stage, so the screen was way above me. But it was a good time. It was generally, I love seeing those old movies in theaters, especially with John Williams music. It's just so fun. It did remind me how terrible the sound quality of old movies is though, because holy shit, there was a lot of it that just sounded like crinkling paper. It was bad. So, and I don't remember experiencing that when I was watching it on my TV. So maybe it was just the way that it was, maybe that was just the way that the sound was. I don't know. But I had a good time otherwise. Music was very fun. My friend and her family was there, so not sitting together, but we got to see each other at intermission, which was nice. And I don't know, it's just a fun time to go out and do stuff like that. So a little solo date. I got myself a little bit of popcorn, and then I got myself a tea at intermission. And I don't know, it's so fun to go to those. I love an in-concert situation, and I genuinely, like, usually when I'm going to those in-concert situations, I sit there and I find myself watching the musicians, or you know, thinking about other things, or thinking about my knee pain or something, because sitting for a long time, my knees start to flare up. So I was sitting there this time, and I actually kind of like lost myself in the movie, and it was really nice. I haven't done that in a while. So great evening last night, had a great time. And yeah, tonight, go to mom and dad's, gonna come home and read some more, I think. I also have been on my iPad recently doing a little bit of experimenting with some art. So, hello, there we go. Some art. I've been opening up my good old Procreate app, and I have been doing some fun art. And the one that I was working on a couple days ago on Friday, which is what I did instead of reading, I did a little bit of lady night art, if you will. This is Lara vibe. I did find a drawing. So this is the drawing that I found that I was like, ooh, I love the vibes of this. So I like traced it to then do my own thing. And I changed a couple things, like I made her jaw a little wider, I made her hair a little different, I changed a little bit of the armor, you know, made it a little bit more into what I picture my character as. So I want to get better at doing digital art, but I'm so shit at actually just like creating something on my own. So getting better at it by tracing other people's art, not that I'm going to do anything with this art, it's just for me, you know? Just for me, having fun, kind of like figuring out how to work Procreate and all that kind of stuff, and the sketchy vibes. But I'm having a really great time, and I'm really proud of this so far. I have to work on her like skirt and legs situation more, but that's kind of what I was doing. I did try do a little drawing early before doing this. It was another trace kind of situation, and I ended up having to change so much of it that I was like, I don't like this anymore. So I just put her in a corner. And started working on big, beautiful, celestial type of Lara drawing, which has been really, really fun. And I've been doing a lot of Pinteresting and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, having a good time with that. And I think it's been fun. It's been fun to kind of do a little bit of something different like that in the evenings. But yeah, that's kind of the updates, my friend. Hate that it's Sunday already. I need another couple days off. Truly. My little girl's up on her cat tree. Bright and sunny day. I'm comfy. I'm cozy on my couch. What else could you ask for? Hopefully I have something read today so that I can continue this good streak. I mean, I've already read a bunch of books this month. I think I've read 6 so far this month already. So we're at the same amount of books that I read in January in total. So hopefully I can keep this going. It is February 22nd. So we are basically at the end of the month at this point. But I would like to read at least one more book other than the one that I'm currently reading to make it an even 8. 8 books would be nice. I am a little behind in my reading goal, which I don't love, but it's okay. It's okay. We're just going to keep going and keep trucking along. There are going to be some months where I read a lot of books and some months where I don't read as many, and that's just how life goes. But yes, I do also want to do some kind of work on Sage's story later. I feel like I just need to open up my computer and make myself write just to get into it again. I need to do something, because I'm at the point now where I'm getting sad that I don't have something to actively make better, or I'm not further along in the process of a project, you know? Because I was thinking about Cosmic Latte and how I wish I had that book written because I want to read it. And I'm just like, I don't even have it plotted. I don't have like an end game, an end goal. Like, I know the general basis of the book. I can pitch it to people. I have the beginning. I don't have the meat of the story. I barely have any bones, you know? So I'm just like, fuck, do I keep working on that? Or do I actually go to what I want to be working on, which is Sage's story, so that I can, you know, keep working on that one. But I have a feeling that secrets that I'm sharing with you guys, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be working concurrently or like sort of concurrently on these 2 books all year. And these are going to be the 2 books that I want to really focus on. We're going to find out if I decide to self-publish Cosmic Latte or try to trad pub it as well. But I was thinking last night, I was like, I don't want my debut to be sci-fi, because I want to be a fantasy author above anything else. I want my debut to be fantasy because I don't want to set an expectation for more sci-fi books when I really don't have any in my head. Sure, that's not to say that I wouldn't get some more in my brain noggin, but I want to make sure that my debut trad pub book is fantasy. So I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. I feel like it would sell really well. Like Cosmic Latte, I feel like it would be very marketable, especially right now with a push for cozy in the trad pub space. And I'm just like, am I missing out on an opportunity? I don't even have the book written. These are all things that I shouldn't be thinking about right now. But this is what my brain wants to think about right now because it just thinks about marketing and planning all the time. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to reading. I'm gonna leave to mom and dad's in about a half hour now, but we'll see. I'll catch up with you guys a little later to tell you how my day is going, how my reading is going, etc. Oh, she's so happy. Oh my goodness. Good job, Belle. Oh yeah. Slide. Oh my goodness. Hello, my beautiful friends. Oh my goodness gracious. It is much later. I am getting ready to go to bed. That is what I am doing. I read 100 pages of Nightshade and Oak today. Then I went to mom and dad's. And then I came home. And instead, I worked on Sage's story. And I'm so happy about that. So, not only did I... Let me get up first. So, not only did I work on Sage's story in this notebook here, I need to plug everything in. Oh my goodness gracious. Everything's dying. I ended up writing a tiny little scene that I kind of want in book 1, focusing specifically on Sage and her shit. Because I had an idea of Sage kind of like her whole thing in this book. I like that I'm talking to you and I'm not even in frame. That's fine. There's this whole thing in this book. Sage is trying to basically prove herself to herself and the crew and her buddies that she's with, because they're basically like, well, we hired you on because you are our druid and we expect you to be, good at what you're doing. And she very much is not. She doesn't have any skills in that. She doesn't have any practice in any of that. So she ends up just kind of floundering a little bit and also doubting herself along the way. And she's trying so hard to get this magic on lock, essentially, that we're just gonna slowly get ready for bed. She ends up actually kind of overdoing it in many different ways, figuring out different things, forcing a lot of stuff, as one does when they're trying to force an outcome. She ends up also finding like a book and all this. Anyways, she can't do her magic very well. She's trying to learn from all these other people, but everyone and their mother is like, well, bestie, did you know that being a druid is a natural thing? And like, you shouldn't be, you should just know how to do this kind of stuff. And she's like, well, I fucking don't know how to do it. No one's telling me how to do things. And she's trying to take all this advice from other people, all this sorts of stuff. So she's having a crash out. And the scene that I wrote, barely sketched out, really is the proper word for it, is one that I was picturing in my head of her like breaking, and it's just like this moment of like, she's like, I can't fucking do this. And Lara, who in this moment is teaching Sage, also like they keep up through the week that they're on Theramara Minor, which is the island of which the pirates are on. They keep up like their sword practice because Lara promised her granddad that Lara promised Sage's granddad, Sherville, that she would teach Sage how to fight. and like protect herself and all this kind of stuff. So they're keeping up this sword practice. It's this moment of like Lara basically tells Sage like, you're thinking too much in the moment of, you know, trying to spar, if you will. Sage fucking loses her shit and is like, I'm fucking trying. It's not that easy. And then she just kind of breaks and then she's like, she loses it and is like, oh my god, like this is exactly what it's like when it's all my magic. Like everyone's just saying I should just know what I'm doing and I fucking don't. And then Lara's like, bitch, you do know what you're doing, because there are moments where you just let shit happen. Sage is freaking the fuck out, as is apt, and as one does. Because she's like, well, it doesn't make sense. It's all this kind of stuff. And then Lara's like, you know what you're doing. You've trained enough in this, specifically for sword fighting anyways. Like, you should be fine. Just get out of your fucking head. And then she like basically says like, you saved us in this moment of peril. You did something extraordinary that I have never seen you do again. And Sage is also like, yeah, I fucking tried to do it again and I couldn't because of all this kind of stuff. Da, 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 da. And it's a scene where she kind of realizes that she's too in her fucking head. She's been taking advice from too many people and she needs to chill the fuck out and just let it happen. Her body knows what she's doing. And it's like an emotion-based thing, and she learns something in that moment. And it's not like it's a complete unlock, she's now good at magic type of thing. It just opens a door and she can start learning properly and getting better rather than forcing everything. So she learns to basically trust herself in this moment. It's not going to be the final scene, whatever. It was just a scene I had in my head. Long ramble away. I then ended up plotting. I was like, I really want to break down the timeline of book one. We're just coming back here for a second. I ended up getting my iPad because I was like, I would like to do this in a place where I could mess with the actual writing of things and move things around as I'm writing, because I feel like my brain is going to change or my mind is going to change on some stuff. So I ended up opening up ye old iPad. I'm not going to lie, this thing looks fucking crazy, okay? I did an entire timeline, and I know the timeline when they're in Anchorage, which is the name of the pirating village. I know the timeline. They're there for 6 or 7 days. That is all they have. They arrive on day 1 at night, and then they have, I guess, 6 days until the festival. And so I was like, okay, I know how many days there are. I know what happens vaguely. Let's fucking plot this shit out day by day so that I have a timeline of when things happen. And I also know what time of day they happen in, which is going to be, hopefully, a lifesaver, because I am notoriously terrible at timelines and keeping my shit together and lined up in timelines. Because the amount of times I had to redo a Little Lux timeline was crazy. This is what this looks like. It's a little crazy to the point of like, I have each day on its own layer in Procreate. I can go in and like select pieces of text and I can move it around if I want to. I've gone in and shrunk and adjusted and like moved things around, gone in and written like midday, evening, nighttime, like all over it. It is crazy. I need this printed out and pasted on my walls. Like, I'm so happy with this timeline that I figured out, to which I think I have the majority of the story figured out now, book 1 wise anyways. So yay for that. I do have a little note on the side of things that I need to remember and figure out as well when it comes to, there's a scene that I want. I don't know where it's going to go, but it's going to go somewhere. And I need to also spend some time thinking about Lara and Drift and how much of a POV they're going to be individually, because right now, as I have it, I have a pretty equal split at the beginning of the book from what I've written already of the book, of like swapping between POVs. And I think I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to make it a really Sage heavy book, because this is obviously the first book of her story. It's focused on her. She's the main character. And then I'm going to have Lara and Drift as more of like accompaniment, but that doesn't mean that they can just be there for plot movement's sake. They do have to have their own story, and I do have to figure out how that's going to move forward. So I do need to kind of lay that out. Like, I know their general plot threads. I know something that happens to Lara in book 2. I know something that Drift goes through in book 2 and 3. Like, I know their trajectory. I just need to find out the minutia of this book. I also know enough about Drift and their shit in this book, specifically with regards to the plot. Now that's fine and dandy. I need to figure out their emotional beats and their character growth and change and what have you, right? I need to figure out that kind of a shit on this level of Lara and Drift. And I also need to kind of do that as well for Xantar and Ku, even though they are not as important characters in this book, because they are still there. They are still characters. They're still part of the crew. They're still doing shit. And we are at some point like investigating some stuff with Ku specifically because of some things, because he's the healer of the group. So he's got a little bit of trauma and all that kind of stuff. So I have to deal with that. I have to figure out his backstory a little bit. I got to play with my characters more. But I think from where I'm at, I have a good trajectory to get back into writing this. I think now I'm just going to start fucking writing it. Not right now, because it is currently almost 3 a.m. I do have a shape and a plan and a timeline that I can now go back to and refer to as I'm working on this. So today ended up being super fucking productive. We love that so much. I'm so happy about it. I'm genuinely just like, this makes me so genuinely happy when I do stuff like this and big brain opens up and I can like line up stuff and figure things out, you know? Makes me so happy. Anyway, so that's what I did this evening. Instead of reading, I was productive with my own books, which is great. We love that shit. Anyways, other than that, I had a good day. Went to mom and dad's for dinner. Came home and I've been watching a lot of the YouTubers that I watched, Gab and Jack and Mark play through Poppy Playtime, because the latest chapter was just dropped. I'm confused as to the timeline and story of this video game, so I've been rewatching them play through the entire like chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5 was the most recent one released. And I think I understand the timeline now of this game. But that's what I've been having on in the background as I've been doing productive shit, aka brainstorming and doing writer stuff. This is all very fun and exciting. And I would like to read more of Nightshade and Oak tomorrow. What am I looking at this week? What is this week? Oh, it's the last week of fucking February. Jesus Christ, how the fuck are we already here? Fun things though coming up this week. Physio on Thursday, love that. Also going to an Emily Austin event on Friday. She's coming to my city to do a book signing, which is very exciting, and like a talk and a whole thing. So I'm going to be bringing my copy of the Aardvark book. I just want to say, is this a funny story? And that's not what that is. Her newest one. I'm going to be bringing that for her to sign. I think that'll be fun. It'll be a good event. I have a lot of shit to do with mags this week for work. All that good stuff. Oh, another mag closes soon. Oh no, that closes in March. I'm fine. Thinking ahead too much. But tomorrow, other than my day job, I do also have to teach. But after teaching and after editing this vlog together, I will be probably either reading more, depending on where my brain is at, or I will be writing back into Sage's story, dive back into wherever I'm at. Really, I just need so desperately to get this fucking draft done so that I can then go back and make the story better. Because right now my brain is stuck on the fact that all I want to be doing is making a story better or brainstorming a project, which I can do that. I can brainstorm a project with Cosmic Latte, right? Like I did that the other day. I kind of scratched that itch. And the only way I can make a story better is if I have a story written. So I have to fucking write it first. So that's next step. That's what's happening next. We need to get into that, because I really want to be making the story better. I want to be actively working on my career, all that kind of stuff, as one does. It's February. February has been shit mentally for me. I'm really hoping March kind of turns that around. I'm hoping that we get less snowstorms and less fucking weather fluctuations, because it hurts my body. I'm already looking ahead to Friday and Saturday this week. It's going to go from like -2 to -20 in a day. And I'm not happy about that. It's going to hurt so bad. It's going to be a crazy swing. That just brings March. And March is always a time. It's never consistent. It's only ever consistently shitty in my city for weather anyways. And then brings April and spring. And this is like when my productivity kind of kicks back in creatively with my work. So I'm really hoping to capitalize the fuck out of it and like really start hammering out some words so that I can then come back and make the story better. The dream, the goal. Anyways, I gotta go to bed. It's 3 a.m. So I will chat to you tomorrow for Monday, but that's the update, my friends. We had some productivity tonight. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We love it, productivity. Yes. I'm so happy about it. I'm genuinely so happy about it. I cannot wait to explore this more. I do have to think as I said earlier, about Lara and Drift, I do have to think a lot about the emotional impact of this book and like where my characters are going to be beginning to end emotional beats, relationship wise, that kind of a thing, which I think is also just going to come with me writing the book and like seeing where they tell me they're going to go, you know? Anyways, that's where I'm at right now. Very happy with that. Very happy with that timeline. Thank God for my brain actually doing something productive tonight and not just sitting on my couch knitting or staring at a screen and doom scrolling forever. Because that was where I was going to be stuck for a bit there. But then I was like, what if I did something fun and spicy and like pulled out my Procreate app and started doing a timeline where I can like move elements around? Because that's like, I was going to like whip out the old fashioned like flashcard shit. And then I was like, no, I need this all on like one document. So we're going to whip out the iPad, the Apple Pencil, which is also dying. I do need to plug it in. Everything was dying at the end of that. I think we were down to 11% on both my Apple Pencil and my iPad. But yeah, anyways, good night, my friends. I will chat to you tomorrow for Monday. What a day. Hello, friends. Happy Monday. It is late. It's like 11:15 p.m. and I wanted to pop in and officially close out this vlog. My beautiful friends, I read fucking only 100 pages this weekend. That's it. Where was my brain this weekend? It was in a creative zone. Oh my god, I'm so happy that it was in such a creative zone. So not only did I start the weekend with working on Cosmic Latte, very, very base kind of thoughts. It's much more than just this page. It is many pages in here. Basic thoughts, did that mood board, getting all the characters down, kind of getting a very base plot, name bank in, getting some place names down, thinking of different things, writing down plot stuff, ideas, all that good stuff. Very, very basic first preliminary brainstorming session of a Cosmic Latte has been done. I'm very excited about that. I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that something sparked in my brain for once. As I keep saying in this video, I don't know what it is about February, but it just feels so sluggish, and I don't know why. What is that? What is that? Usually January feels very sluggish, but January went super quick this year. So maybe it just got moved onto February or something. Other than working on Cosmic Latte at the very beginning of this weekend, I did read 100 pages of Nightshade and Oak by Molly O'Neill. So 100 pages into this. Love that. We'll be continuing at some point. I also did a bunch of work on Sage's story. Very good, like constructive work with the plot and the timeline that I did on my iPad last night. Also, I've been thinking about Sage's story so much recently, so that's also just very productive and good. And today at work, I ended up sitting. I had a break because one of my kids didn't come. It wasn't a very long break, but it was enough for my brain to like think of things. And I started flipping back through this notebook and saw some very early, literally like first page of this notebook thoughts, literally first page of the notebook thoughts about the magic that I'm using in here for my villain and things like that, and how I'm going to have it mirror Sage's magic and all this kind of thing. So just thinking about things like that. And I really would like to write a little bit tonight. I don't know if I'm going to have the brain energy of it though, because I'm tired right now. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, my eyes feel like they're not open all the way. I don't think they are, but they feel like they're like very closed. So we'll see if I do end up doing any writing tonight, but I would really like to, but I don't even know where I would start. Like open up the book and just reread some of the stuff, I guess, and see if I have to tweak anything. That might be the plan. But besides that, did a whole fuck ton of work on Far Horizons book 1, which I'm really happy about. We're just going up from here, my friends. I made myself a tea latte. We love this shit. It's so tasty, man. But yes, I am very happy with the thoughts I've been putting in for this, and I do think that my whole conversation last night about like needing to sit with the book and the characters more is definitely very true, but I think I'm going to get there as I write this book. I think what I'm doing right now is I'm so plot focused on like what's actually happening in the book that I need to get into the scenes and in the moments and see how my characters are reacting to things, how they're feeling about things, all this sorts of stuff, because I really want to know more about them, because I feel like I don't know a lot about my characters. Like even though I've spent time with them before. I mean, barely with the crew, the adventuring party in a second story, but with Sage specifically, I feel like I know her really well with that level of naivete and like what she's coming into this with, and kind of where we find her right at the beginning of this book. It's different from where we've left her in a second story because it is a couple months later. Like she has been part of this adventuring party for a little while, and she is still annoyed, like she's still not progressing like she wants to, which is what I was explaining in that really long-winded clip. Her magic is this whole personal journey that she's going on in this first book. It will continue into the second book, of course, but it is one of the main personal issues with her because Sage genuinely believes that the crew is just going to leave her behind if she doesn't prove herself, and this is like her one shot to be this hero that she's always wanted to be. And so she is desperate to prove herself to these people because she believes that she can do this stuff, but then she's also coming to realize that maybe she can't. And it's like this whole learning to trust yourself kind of a situation, and all this, I don't know, is really difficult to explain, which is crazy because it's so straightforward in my head. But I'm excited to keep exploring Sage as she grows, and because this series is going to be a lot darker than my cozy books, it's going to be really interesting to actually like grow and break my characters in different ways again, because I gotta have enough character growth for 3 books, and it's gonna be really fascinating to see where these characters end up, because one of my favorite things when I'm reading stories is the character growth, especially when like I think of character growth and I think of Robin Hobb's The Farseer trilogy. Looking at Fitz from the beginning of the first book, The Assassin's Apprentice, to just the end of The Assassin's Apprentice, that is a completely different character. Not only is because he's growing up, but like he is learning and changing and going through so much, and his character is completely flipping around. And then from the second book, the beginning of the second book to the end of the second book, again, he goes through so much change. And then in the third book, it's the same. But like looking at who Fitz is from the beginning of that trilogy to the very end, I'm like, you meet like 5, 6, 7, 8 different versions of Fitz throughout this entire series. And it all makes sense, and it all is beautifully done, and it's balanced and all this kind of stuff. And it's genuinely like real about how much change characters can go through. Like, yes, I love world building. World building is my favorite thing in books and all this kind of stuff, but there is something so special about seeing genuinely good character growth and satisfactory character growth. And I just it's like I really want to do myself justice with my own characters and my old world building and my own stories that I'm telling, because like I'm sitting here thinking about how Sage is perceived by everyone on the crew right at the beginning of this story. Like she is seen as this little girl who genuinely just kind of snuck her way onto this team somehow. Lara kind of considers her to be this very kind of young, bubbly, like, oh, honey, like you're gonna get so broken by this world kind of a view, because Lara herself has been so broken by this world. And yet she desperately wants to protect that, like, not childishness, but like the naivete of that. And then we have Ku and Xantar, who consider Sage in very different ways. Like Xantar definitely just doesn't really even know what to do with Sage, because Xantar's this like older dwarven man who just wants money at this point, and he's gonna have his own growth and whatever. But to look at this like really, really young, bubbly, vibrant character or person, right, like coming at it, I really want them to have eventually a very like kind of similar relationship to what Sage has with her grandfather in a second story, because I feel like they would have a really interesting dynamic, because Xantar is not quite that figure in himself, but I think it would be really fascinating to see kind of that, like, not parental guidance, but like another like male authority figure kind of guidance that she would get from her grandpa, but like not, I don't know. I have thoughts in my head for that. And then Ku is a very interesting figure because he's very like blanketed in mystery in this first book, because he's not like, he just doesn't open up to people and all that kind of stuff. And then Drift is another one that's very interesting to me, because they look at Sage and they see a comrade in arms and someone who could help them in very different, very like multiple different instances of like, oh, I finally have someone who will side with me on a lot of things. Like we're both kind of this level of like chaos, and we're young and we can do whatever we want. I think that has a really fascinating kind of dynamic to deal with. Like if any of you have ever watched The Mighty Nine by Critical Role, whether it's the TV show or I don't actually know if they've done it in the TV show. I haven't watched it yet, but I watched that entire campaign from Critical Role, and that dynamic between Nott and Jester and like the Chaos Crew Nott and Jester vibe is what I'm going for with Drift and Sage. So it's fascinating to think of that and like how that's going to change, because I know how it's going to change. That is a storyline that I very much know. Emotionally, not quite. I just know what I want the impact of that storyline to be, which is fascinating to know books in advance, because this is like Endgame book 3 type of thinking, right? And then of course, like Sage herself, to me as the author, like I know what kind of a person she is, and genuinely like coming out of a second story and having this bright, vibrant, smiley young woman, and how she's like the very minute changes from that book to this book to me are really fun. But also it's like I gotta think about how I take this really bubbly, amazing, kind woman and how I can make her not childish. You know what I mean? Like she is not a childish person. She is seen that way a little bit in a second story. Like I read a second story now and I go, I wish I had made her a little bit older. But like I say in a second story that she's like 18, 19 years old. Like she is a little older. And even in the change that you get in Sage in a second story from the very beginning when they meet her at the bookstore to when she's coming home with Finn after their whole situation, like that change in her when she's walking through Aramount after being gone for a little while, like that is our first glimpse at what she is becoming when she goes on this adventure. And I think that's so cool. And I have her in my head. I have her both as like the very bubbly shopkeeper that you meet in a second story, and I have her as this like she's just been through hell and back, grizzled, well I guess grizzled isn't really the word for it, but like kind of a little bit worn down adventurer who's had this shiny patina look at heroism and adventuring, and it's been completely buffed away, and she knows what this life is now that she's wanted her whole life. Like it is definitely taking away this shiny optimism, which is sad, but it's also fascinating, and it's going to be so much fun to play with, because yes, I get to beat her down and beat all these characters down and, you know, bring them all to their knees. But that's when you get the most fascinating stories, when you do that well, and when you do it not just for pain's sake, but for the fact that it's like showing you what it's like to go through these events. And it's very not normal to be a hero or an adventurer in real life, right? And it's something that kids dream about all the time, especially in this world where they read all the stories, like Sage was when she was growing up. She was reading all these stories of all these adventures, and just what she wanted so badly, and she gets it, but then she also gets the reality of that, and it's gonna be really satisfying. I really hope anyways that in my head it's satisfying. Anyways, I've just been yapping now for forever, explaining random shit that I don't even know if it makes any sense to anybody, but I think it's fascinating to really think about character growth in stories and knowing how I want my characters to grow and change ahead of time, like as like a big macro view. Like I know the final scene of the trilogy in my head. I know that. I know the scene. It's going to change. There might not be as many characters as I have in my head right now. Who's to say? The events of 3 books have to happen, right? But I know where a couple characters are going to be in the very final scene of the trilogy, and what they look like, what they feel like, what they say in these last moments of the trilogy. Like I know where they are. I just now have to get them there. And that's gonna be fun. Anyways, my friends, my mini yap session over, but this ended up being much more of a writing vlog than a reading vlog, so I do apologize for that. But I think my creativity is coming back a little bit. But it is now 11:30, so I'm gonna wrap this vlog here. Thank you so much for watching and spending the weekend with me, my beautiful friends, and I will catch you in another video very soon. I'm gonna edit this vlog and we're gonna see where we're at, but I might end up doing some writing tonight, but I should really start a writing vlog. Stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that little bell icon so you know when I upload. It's every Tuesday and Friday. I don't say that enough in my videos, but I'll catch you guys in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading and writing. Apt.